Good afternoon.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
You introduce yourself.
Hi everybody. I'm Robby Young. I'm the CEO of Animoca Brands, and we make games on the one hand, and we're also one of the most active investors in Web3.
I'm Sonny, founder of Alabaster. We invest in solutions that have a planet-level impact, and so Web3, Industry 4.0, food, that kind of thing. And we've been proud early investors of Animoca. Yeah, we're here to talk about how the Matterverse and the Metaverse overlap. And one of the companies that we've invested in is Arevo, which does 3D printing at scale of carbon fiber parts. That's a mouthful, but basically the vision of Arevo is to make things lighter, cheaper. Making things light is actually very expensive, and one of the great ways to get to a more sustainable future is to make things lighter and to make it cheaper to do so. So we're going to be printing, and so Arevo actually can print an entire bike. And so we're going to show that right now. This is actually live stream from our printing facilities. So there's a huge array of these printers. They're huge. Each printer is the size of a container. And there it is. These are 4 different printers printing bikes at different stages. That's continuous carbon fiber. Yeah, so that's what Arevo does.
So the other part of it, of course, is the Metaverse. So you're probably wondering, what's the Metaverse guy doing here? And I think, the role, obviously we are very interested in what's going on in the physical world as well as the digital world. And we think a lot about how we can combine those physical and digital experiences. And one of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years is innovations in thinking about ownership. Because obviously what Web3 does is Web3 confers true digital ownership to people through tokenization, through NFTs, through fungible tokens, so we can own our digital stuff. And one of the innovations we've seen particularly bear fruit in the last year are PFP projects, which, images tokenized as NFTs, which have conferred all kinds of new opportunities on the holders of those PFPs. And the most famous one is a project called the Bored Ape Yacht Club. It's probably the leading project in the space. And they have pioneered a concept around copyright where the holders of these NFTs all own the individual copyright of the PFP that they own. And so this has actually given rise to an amazing amount of innovation in thinking about ways in which the holders of those NFTs as a community can exploit their individual NFT to use that, for commercial purposes or personal purposes. And so I think one of the things that we've thought about a lot is how do we, combine that true digital ownership and exploitation of copyright with physical items.
Robby, you've worked with Yatsu, a co-founder of Animoca for decades. You guys were helping people make websites, use email, message boards, and I think back in the mid to late 90s, which is amazing. People didn't even know what the internet was back then, or many people didn't, or what it was even capable of doing.
Yep.
And now I guess you could say that you guys are in the same position, pioneering this entirely new field, really.
Yes.
But there's a lot of questions about it because the perception, at best, oft has been that it's hard to understand.
Yep.
And at worst, that it's laughable.
Yep.
And how would you? So when you have to explain to your parents,
so I think,
Robby, what is it that you do?
Sure.
How would you do it?
I think, in the broadest terms, what we do is we're trying to enable true digital ownership. We feel like it's really unfortunate that, as we grew up as part of the technology community helping to create the internet and applications for the internet over the last 25 years, we now have an entire generation of people who have grown up thinking that digital stuff has no value. And that was only because we didn't have a way to secure copyright properly. So we ended up in Web 2 with lots of centralized platforms as a kind of a hack in order to make up for the fact that we didn't have digital rights management that worked. So we stream a lot of content, and we have a lot of centralized solutions based on the fact that we can't have good, secure transactions from peer-to-peer. Blockchain changes that. So now through tokenization, we can secure digital copyright, and that allows us to think about IP in a different way, because we can think about actually transferring IP from place to place, but still being able to honor those creators by paying royalty on those IPs because they're tokenized. And so we think there's going to be an explosion of innovation around this content because the creators are able to benefit from the royalties of their creations over time. So they're going to be more willing to share their creations and allow them to be used by other people to create great things with them. And this is one of the innovations we've seen in Web3 with lots of people taking existing IP created by other people and building on top of it. Or, you know, it's like the music industry where DJs have been remixing other people's content and sampling content for years. We can now do that with other kinds of digital content, but in a way that respects copyright.
You guys have, I think, over 300 companies in your portfolio. So I would say you're probably the most prolific, or one of the most prolific purveyors of this category in the world. And so you hear about these criticisms, but what would be a criticism that you would say you would concede as being valid?
So I think that one of the things about Web3 is that because it's still very early, user onboarding is still difficult. Because I think one of the benefits of our smartphones is onboarding new users to an incremental application is really easy, right? The payment is built in. You've already given up all of your personal information. All of your credit card information has been sunk in an account on your Android or iOS phone for a decade or more for most of us. So we don't have to redo that process. Every time we download an app, 3 clicks later, we can be consuming something in the app because everything is already there. Web3 is different because, of course, we're new to it. So the first time we do it, we need to open a wallet for our blockchain tokens. We need to go through a few hurdles. But in fairness, we forget that 10 years ago when we first got a smartphone, it was a hassle, right? Do you remember the first time that you had to put your credit card details in to open a Google Pay account or an iTunes account? It didn't work. You tried it again. It didn't synchronize. You had to re-download stuff. I mean, it didn't work very well. But we did it so long ago that we forget that this is just part of the journey of onboarding to any new technology. So we shouldn't let us put us off.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. No, that's great. Thank you.
Fantastic. So I think, speaking of the metaverse, I think you have some thoughts on 3D printing and customization?
Yeah, well, you know, just to set the stage, I would say the way we make things, it really has to change. You know, for many decades, you know, with the industrialization, with the industrial era, and now globalization, the way things are made in large centralized facilities, shipped around the world, stored in vast warehouses, and then shipped to users whenever at their beck and call. And that's the model right now. And it's very convenient, and it's almost a necessity. But it's hardly sustainable financially, economically, environmentally, and now geopolitically. You know, it's just not a great model. Being able to make things locally or at least regionally, and being able to make it on demand is something that's going to be something that's much more interesting and will definitely happen. Like, it has to happen. We can't be doing this, especially with shipping costs 6 times. Actually, it's lower now. It's about 3 times what it used to be. But it's still not. It's just not sustainable. And now onto the topic of customization. That's like, I would say that's like the next level up. With 3D printing, there are a number of trivial cases for mass customization, making in different colors and whatnot, just like there might be trivial use cases for NFTs. But if you look a little bit deeper, there are some profound improvements in utility that mass customization can bring. So like these bikes that Arevo prints, they're print to fit the customer's body, to fit exactly their size. And so as a result, Arevo's gotten, I think, about 40% of the users, of the people who buy it, are under 5'2". And we thought about that for a while, saying, why is that the case? And I realized now, we realized over time that it was because it's just not a well-served market. So there are a lot of underserved markets that you can just get to because you can customize for people.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, so customization, the utility of customization, I think is something that 3D printing can bring. 3D printing just for a long time has not been very affordable. It's very expensive, and usually the quality is more prototype quality. But with some of the new technologies that have come about, it's production scale now, production quality, and now with advanced materials. So that's what that's been about.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we see some of that reflected in what we do in the digital realm, because customization and personalization is part of how we express ourselves in a digital environment. And so as we think about building content in a metaverse, like, this is the other side, which is a metaverse being built by Yuga Labs for the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And this is a place where people can express themselves because they have avatars, they can customize their experience, and they want to socialize in this digital space in a way that reflects their own value and their own outlook and the way they want to represent themselves. And so I think that, as you were saying, this is something that permeates not just your digital life, but also your physical life, because thankfully manufacturing costs have come down and we have the ability now to do this mass customization, essentially.
Right. And we're here to announce a partnership between Arevo and Animoca. And so one of the first babies of this partnership, if you will, is we're printing bikes with NFT authenticated artwork. It's, like Robby was saying, it's a great way to, it's just an extension of an ability to express yourself. So, so let's bring the bike out, and we'll show you what we've got. This was a bike for Yacht. Actually, he sent us a link to his NFT, and yeah, we're happy to show it off.
Fantastic. And so, to set the stage, part of the customization and the personalization is not just, how the bike fits and the scale and the measurements of the bike, which are of course personalized to the rider, but also the livery and how it looks, and in this case personalized with Yacht's own Bored Ape PFP. And this is something that we think, from the Animoca brand's perspective, is fascinating, because here's a great product which is not just personalized to Yacht, my business partner's frame and body type, but it's personalized with his PFP, so everybody will know that that's his NFT, and it's a way that he can represent his NFT and his membership in that particular community through a physical item which he possesses.
Yeah, I was going to point out a few things about the bike here. So this was something literally we just printed a couple weeks ago. It took time to ship it over here, obviously, but this entire frame printed in one piece from Arevo's printers. Continuous carbon fiber, made to fit exactly Yacht's biometrics. So he entered his height, weight, inseam, all of that stuff. I didn't know how to measure my inseam for the longest time, but so we take all those measurements. The frame is generated to fit his profile, and then we took the artwork, authenticated the ownership, and kind of implemented into this the design of the bike.
And is this painted, or is it actually made that way?
It's paint. A part of it is painted. Some of it's printed. But yeah, from print to paint to assembly, test, and ship. Right now, if you order it online, you will receive your bike within 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
impressive.
And we're literally going from fiber to fork to, I don't know, there's no F, but to Yacht, to Hong Kong in 3 weeks' time.
Fantastic.
So I mean, it's taken a long time. I mean, we've been late with it for a long time, but now we're here, and really this is just the beginning.
This one's an electric bike, right?
Oh yeah, this is an e-bike. So yeah, so it's been a lot of fun. It's a really great project, and we're looking forward to doing more stuff, printing more things. Really, this is just the beginning, but this is functional. This is a bike that's going to fit the owner perfectly, and using their NFT artwork.
Fantastic. Well, we're very excited about this because we think this has implications for all kinds of different online and offline self-expression. And I think, honestly, it's just the tip of the iceberg, because if you think about the fact that, I mean, as you were saying, Sonny, you can have this in 3 weeks, and it's completely custom-made from the ground up, both visually and functionally. I mean, I think that's quite a milestone when you think about manufacturing.
So how would you summarize the overlap between the Metaverse and the Metaverse moving forward? What are any last words that you might have?
Sure. I think it's, again, part of... We focus a lot on utility when we think about tokenizing content. And so the reason to own certain types of NFTs are because of the utility they provide. And I see this as another kind of utility, because this is a way for you to be able to use that piece of IP that you own and express yourself using that IP. Some people have used their Bored Apes to start businesses, food trucks, fast food restaurants, bars, whatever, and Yacht used his to create a bike. And so this is a way to leverage that IP ownership into something personal for yourself.
Yeah, you can see right here a hyperlapse of the print. The previous live stream, it's kind of boring because it takes a while, but this is over the course of 18 hours that's printed. And then once it's done, sanding, paint, assembly, it's pretty fast. It used to take us a lot longer. That's why we had been late in delivering bikes in the past. But now, pretty much from the time you configure your bike, you hit submit, it shows up at your door in three weeks. So it's been a lot of fun. It's been a tough journey, but I think it's worth it.
Very impressive.
I think that's it for us. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.